You know, we all want a safe place to live with our families. For one woman, that search proved nearly impossible because she was deaf and was unable to get the help she needed.
But she refused to give up. Here's her inspiring story.
Now I'm really happy to be in my new home.
Grace Ihetu finally has a place she and her family can call home.
I feel really good, really happy.
It's difficult for anyone to find affordable housing these days, and for Ihetu, it was especially hard. She's deaf, and instead of finding a beautiful new home, she ended up homeless, in a shelter, separated from her children, and unable to communicate because the city never gave her an interpreter. It was a nightmare.
She languished in the system from 1 month to the next to the next.
It all started when Ihetu divorced. In a move that stunned everyone, a judge here in Brooklyn awarded their 3-bedroom subsidized apartment to her husband and gave her custody of the children. But with no interpreter to explain the procedure, she moved the entire family into a basement apartment where conditions turned out to be horrific.
The basement had rats and bugs. It was horrible, and the water would flood. It was just gross. I mean, it was unlivable.
Desperate, she sent the children back to their father, and she came here to the Department of Homeless Services for help. She mistakenly believed that staying in a shelter would qualify her for subsidized housing again.
I thought that that would be the best thing to do. I didn't, want to do it.
But DHS never gave her an interpreter, despite the law requiring them to do so. And she had no way to communicate with shelter staff once she became a resident.
Everybody there was hearing, and I was the only deaf person, and it was scary and frustrating.
She was forced to navigate the system on her own and was devastated by her separation from her children.
I think Grace suffered. I think Grace, in her private moments, cried.
With Ihetu alone in the shelter, word of her situation made its way to Bruce Gitlin's New York Center for Law and Justice. It provides free legal services for the deaf.
I characterize it as a breach of certain ethical and moral standards.
Once Gitlin got involved, things moved quickly. He reunited the family in a special family shelter and pushed city officials to give them affordable housing. It took months, but finally, this Brooklyn apartment became available.
Oh, it's so wonderful that we're all together. It's just great.
To the city's credit, at the end, it was able to assist in finding permanent housing.
The Department of Homeless Services would not talk about this case on camera, but in a statement said it was pleased for the family and focused on continuing and improving services provided to special need clients. But Ihetu and Gitlin agree, without help, she might still be adrift.
I think Grace nearly got lost in the system. And once you get lost in that system, it's very hard to find your way out.
Ihetu says that now that she's settled in, she'll start training for a job. Ihetu's case is just one of hundreds involving the deaf community that find their way to the Center for Law and Justice. And if you'd like more information about free legal service for the deaf, go to our website, cbsnewyork.com. You'll find the story on our homepage.
That was like being parachuted into a country where you didn't speak the language for her. She had no way of communicating.
And one of the many, many people who fall through the cracks until you find the help that you need. And the New York Law and Justice Center was just incredible.
That's a great organization. They've done a lot to help people. Great. Good story. Thank you. All right.